And we're back. Judd'z Budz, episode 94. As always, your host, Bogsy. Once again, joined by not my good buddy, Mr. Atstein of Hoppy, my other good buddy, the man, the myth, the legend, Isha. Isha, how we doing? I love the sign behind you, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm tired, man, but excited to catch up with you because we have a lot to talk about. I mean, there's a lot of hockey talk out there as far as the Wild goes and everything, but like we both dogged on Latvia so much, and I can't wait to get into it later. But other than that, like I said, it's good to be back, man.
Hell yeah! Is that sign new, or have I just been not?
I had it last time,
but for a long time.
But it is pretty new. It is pretty new. It was a. I mean, you're referring to that, not the American Spirit, right? Because this is also nice.
Yeah.
No, a subscriber on my other channel got that made for us and sent it over.
No way.
Yeah, hand carved, no joke. Yeah, because I was like, oh sweet, you got a CNC. He's like, no, my business card came with it. So shout out to That's Badass Wood Art. Let's go, baby. Little free plug here on the
there you go.
Sota Pod.
Little free ad. We don't mind.
He actually knows the guy and he set that up perfectly, but
yeah, it's all right. So I am still getting my bearings. I was basically working up until about 20 minutes ago. Yet another 12-hour day for your boy. I can't really see. I've been looking at a screen for so fucking long that my eyeballs are burning.
You guys look great.
So it'll
take on fire.
It'll take me a second to get going. I can't really function right now, but like you said, there is a lot going on. Hockey-wise, yes, that's true. Mateo Yurov might be unstoppable. Another goal today. He's on a tear again. He's a beast. But we'll go over some World Junior stuff. I don't really. Maybe we'll touch on what's going on with Minnesota right now. Probably not, but maybe we will. And then just a couple tidying up notes with the prospect pool, and then we'll get the fuck out of here. But I mean, I'll open up the floor to you, Isha. Where should we start? Because like we said last week, the World Juniors is just delivering. Just banger after banger, dude. I love
storyline after storyline too. So let's just start with that before we get into just a few NHL tidbits as well. And look at this. Sean, I had a Wabasha Brewing sign before, and Volcan here, Volcan coming over from the City Life channel. So what's up, man? Thank you so much for the support. He's saying, no, Isha got it right. Got it 2 months ago. So there you go. Z and we don't do these often,
I think he's
right?
fucking around. Yeah.
Okay, let's start with let's just start with World Junior semifinals. Latvia in Germany. What the fuck happened to them, dude? Because we were talking up Germany like, oh yeah, they've stamped their ticket at least to next year. Latvia has a hell of a game. It wasn't just like Germany couldn't score and Latvia was getting lucky. Latvia had a hell of a game, dude.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the stats again here because there were a couple. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. Like Latvia was just getting the absolute dog shit kicked out of them. Game 1 and 2, really. My guy, Bruins prospect, Danslok Mellis, he's an animal. He was like literally the only guy that was going for them for a while here, but then they had some guys step up in like that first period. It's once again, there's so many of these games where like the first 5 minutes, you're either sitting there. If you had any opinion on how we thought the game was going to go, it's like the first 5 minutes, like, oh no. Okay, that's not how this was supposed to go at all. But I mean, they kind of just immediately stepped on their throats. I think like the shots ended up being pretty close, but like It didn't feel like that at all. But like it's funny. I mean, I don't know. It's two teams that really like needed to battle and like pull something out here, but there's a couple guys I like on each of these teams. Like again, my guy Loch Malice. I gotta pull up the other kid. I always forget his goddamn. Oh yeah, Darzins for Latvia. Love him. He's a fun player. And there are a couple guys like Julian Lutz on Germany had a quiet night. That's never good for them. If he's not going, it's likely they're not going to do anything. So yeah, I mean, before this tournament started, and like if I hadn't watched any of the prior games, I'm like, yeah, Latvia will probably kick the shit out of them. But then the way the tournament started, I was like, oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. Oh, everything is bad for them. They can't score a fucking goal. And then the floodgates just open. So good for them for pulling out here. Now, you know, we'll see what happens. I think it was the relegation game
tomorrow morning, bright and early. Well, yesterday, if you're listening on audio, yeah, 5, man, that's crazy.
It always fucks me up. 5 a.m. here. I guess for most other people, 6, nice and late, get to sleep in if you want to catch that one. I'm always fascinated by these games because, like, usually the relegation game, especially, well, I mean, this is the first time it's been one and done, but like, it is usually like whatever the eliminate, like usually if it's 1-0, but again, now it's like it's fucking me up just because I'm not used to this whole one game shit. But like, this is always an absolute bloodbath. Like, these teams tend to just come out of the gates first 5 minutes, and you may as well not even throw a puck on the ice. Like, they're going to be hitting everything that moves. With how this fucking tournament's going, I'm sure someone's going to get thrown out for throwing a clean hit because they hit too hard now, apparently. Poor Switzerland, Jesus Christ.
And we'll get to. I think I was crying more than the entire nation there, but
we'll get there. But I don't know. Like, I think the way that Germany's been trending down a little bit last little bit here, I've liked a lot of, like, I think Norway's just had such fucking brutal schedule, obviously just ending up in this fucking group. And I like a lot of, like, every game there's been 5 or 10 minutes like, oh, they're really pushing here. Like that first game against the US, they were solid. So we'll see what happens. I think I'm curious to see if it's just gonna be like another blowout, but I don't know. I think Norway's just kind of steadily been like, just they'll like hang on for a little bit, but then like by the end of the game, they've got nothing left. They've planned to give them the harder schedule so far. So we'll see. Germany's just like trending down. So I don't know. It's 2 very hardworking teams. I probably will not be setting my alarm for 4:50 in the morning, but who knows? I might just be awake anyways. But it'll be interesting. I'll probably wake up and the game will be over though.
Yeah. Honestly, Germany's been so hard to read this tournament because they, like you said, they started off so hot. Absolutely, like, you know, had that incredible game against Finland, and then Latvia. I'll just say they upset them there, right? So, and for me, Norway, I agree with everything you said. I haven't noticed them fall off too much in the third. For me, it was less like they've gassed themselves and more like, all right, well, fuck, we lost this game. We're not gonna attack like the fucking Swiss do at every second of every of every game. So I'm leaning towards Norway in this one, and we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. I'll actually be up for this one just because, like, I don't know, I'm all in on Norway. They've impressed me. I did not think that they were gonna hang with anybody in this tournament. Like you pointed out there, that game against the US, that was awesome, and they haven't really trended downward. They've kind of been in every little game for the most part, and there's some guys on that team as well. There's this one defenseman who has like 4 points, who is an absolute stud. So, excited for that one. And moving on to the semifinals, Canada no longer in it. I mean, I called it, guys. I called it. And I mean, before we talk about the matchups here, Hoppy wrote in our notes, Isha getting an American citizenship was just too perfect just in time for this time in this tournament. And everyone on social media now is talking about how the United States has arrived and more so has taken over as, you know, as the proper North American hockey representative, as the greatest hockey nation now. Do you think that everyone's getting a little bit ahead of themselves? Because again, I was the first one to say that Canada, their team, they weren't going to do good this year from the way that the GM built it and the whole group built it, the way they changed up the coaching, the way they kind of handpicked their roster over some of the better players out there, Riley Heidt. So I think that the Americans are jumping the gun a little bit here. What are your thoughts? Yeah,
I mean, again, my pick before the tournament started was Sweden. and I had Sweden, US in the final. With how Czechia has played the last couple of World Juniors too, like it wasn't really that big of an upset at all, to be honest with you. Like, especially Canada, they just weren't impressive at all. And I mean, like you said, we talked about this before it started. Like, the roster selection just didn't get it right. And I mean, Celebrini is an absolute stud. He is incredible, obviously. Like,
they weren't not going to invite him.
Well, yeah. No, I'm saying like he has been like, it hasn't even been remotely close. He's been their best player, obviously. He's like leads them in scoring, of course. Was always going to, really, but I think he's like top 5, 6, 7 scores in this tournament. He's unbelievable. After that, there's just been such a drop off, and like they try to who'd they bring in Furcus for the game because I think what's his face got hurt, and then they bring in Matty Poitras, who I don't know if the timing really worked out for him all that well. He was okay with a lot of games, but they just didn't really have anyone that could do a whole lot of anything.
And they didn't gel.
Like Celebrini, yeah, and it's sometimes with the picks that they make, I think they overthink it sometimes. Like they try to like balance the lines and stuff. And again, like you're leaving Riley Heidt at home, who's leading the WHL in scoring. Like, and what did they need more of? Fucking scoring.
No, yeah,
I will say the Tkachuk was so good this tournament though. From the back end, like I love my draft son of 2020. One, two. No, one.
But look at last year's team, and I know last year's team they had Bedard, they had more talent, but they had like 90-point WHL players on the fucking fourth line. Because when the fourth line was matched up against any other team's fourth line and Bedard's line was tired, these guys were still lighting it up, right? And look, I love Matthew Wood from Nanaimo. That's where I went to high school, like from Vancouver Island. But he was a late pickup as well because of his performance in the Canada, junior A and or whatever it was, A and B team, right? Like the two teams, like two groups of guys who didn't make the World Juniors, they do a tournament and they cut in half A and B. And that's where the Hockey Canada for the World Junior team will take their like final look when they finalize their roster. And Matthew Wood competed in that and he made it. So like I was rooting for him, but that was just the thing. When Matty fucking Wood is the one scoring a lot of the goals for Canada and getting on the score sheet, I was like, I didn't think this kid was going to get any minutes, and he didn't really. But when he's carrying the offense alongside, celebrating stuff like that, it's like in certain games, it's like, man, like what was Hockey Canada thinking here? And I know Hockey Canada has had an issue as recently anyways with their goalie development. I mean, I don't know what's gonna, especially for international play at this level, it's like we'll just pick the Q guy because he looks good on the fancy stats. And I don't know, it just, like you said, I'll echo it here as the invested Canadian, where from the start, man, it didn't look good. And I will say one last thing, even in that Latvia game where they destroyed them, right? They were blowing tires, running into each other. And if they did not have that like huge skill difference, dude, Latvia like would have maybe put up a better fight, right? It was, that game like was hard to watch until they started to just run away with it because it just looks so sloppy.
Yeah, and two things you touched on there. Like, again, last year you looked at the fourth line, and who was on the fourth line in that game against USA in the semis, I guess? No, was it the semis last year? I think there was the semis. Yes. But their fourth line, like two of those guys, Caden Bankier, who is top 10 WHL scoring, Minnesota Wild prospect, our guy.
Logan Stankoven was and Stankoven was on the fourth line for a bit too. That was like in the first two games. So it wasn't in the semis, but it was crazy. He was one of the guys I was thinking of who's like, he's an absolute stud, and he was a depth player on the team last year.
Yeah, and I mean, the one common thread that was thrown around there too before the tournament started, if there was one, like you looked at the Canadian lineup or that roster, the team they picked, and it was like, all right, they're actually, for the first time in a while, there's like, you could say that there's definitely holes here, and they don't necessarily, they don't jump off the page like the overwhelming favorite coming into the tournament. But the big thing that was going to be their Achilles heel, if it wasn't going to be like just overall depth, it was the goaltending. Like that was a problem, and it was a big problem against Czechia. But shout out Czechia, man. Shout out Czechia. They're so fun to watch. And I love, like, again, this tournament, like we said, it delivers every goddamn year. The fact that it was with 11 seconds left, amazing. So good for them. I think it is what is
some say amazing. Some say fucking heartbreaking, but
yeah, no, you're fine.
Actually, some say they're just kids. By the way,
yes.
Mark Mathot being one of them.
My God, yeah, that's the thing too. It's like that. I always find that so fucking
they
weird.
miss Christmas. We can't rip on them because they miss Christmas. I'm sorry, dude. Like, I'm all about don't harass them on social media. Don't go after. But like, you can be critical 100%. That shows that you're a passionate fan base. Again, what's the worst thing? Apathy, right? Mm-hmm. Apathy is the worst thing. At least they were like, they have that much passion that they're going to be upset, right? And I was with them. I was screaming in my room. I was pissed, even though I didn't expect them to win that game. I hoped that they would come back after those 2 goals, but walk upstairs. My roommate's like, Canada lost, didn't they? I'm like, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they'll take on Sweden here tomorrow, 9 a.m. my time, 10 a.m. Central. And that should be a real good game. 2 very fun teams. Again, I picked Sweden before the tournament started. That was another. We can jump into them next if we want to go there. But I'm taking Sweden in that one too. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, Sweden and the Americans coming into this tournament were like, they were the 2 teams that, like, on paper and from what I know and seen of both of the teams' respective players, they're my top 2. I think like the United States, I don't think maybe they're as talented as Sweden in this tournament, and maybe they are. Maybe I'm wrong, but the one thing that they are, like, they are in sync. A lot of their players, like we highlighted on last week's episode, and that you talked about with Hoppy quite a bit, is like all these guys have played together. Most of them have played together for so long. And unlike what Hockey Canada did, like USA Hockey's program for these junior tournaments, and the fact that these guys have grown up either at the US development program or play together literally on the same line in college, like they, as long as they're their own worst enemy. As long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, they can beat any team in this tournament. I feel like they've proven that as well. Sweden, they're just, I don't know what it is, but they're just on fucking fire right now, and they just have that extra gear. And man, the Switzerland loss, like that was so hard to watch because the Swiss played like their best game. But also, how many times did Sweden hit the post? How many times did Sweden take a bad penalty, right? Like everything except for the softest call that I've ever seen this fucking tournament. Except for that, everything went Switzerland's way. And yeah, they showed that they could hang with the big boys as well. But yeah, quickly on that call, I was joking around in my like recap show saying that Buddy fucking sneezed and ran into the guy's stick there. Like that's pretty much like how how much of an intent there was there to slash that stick. And overall, I've thought that the refs have done better than most years as far as like staying away from the whistles and things like that. But that was atrocious, Z.
I mean, it was, I think it's right up there with the worst call I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was like a half poke. I don't know how you blow the whistle and even call it penalty any time in the game, but at that time too, it was like they're just trying to, like, it was like ruining like a great hockey game, and it was going to be a great overtime. Still was entertaining, obviously, but like I felt so bad for those. That sucks too. Like that's the thing. It's like these kids are just like what the fuck, and the kid they called it out. Like I can't even imagine how he feels. I mean, it was brutal. I just don't understand like the IHF rules. I've never understood it because it's almost like they just are looking for a reason to give the dumbest fucking penalties out. And again, like, what's his name? Canada was a geeky, got like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
For blowing a kid up, like with a great hit, like didn't even touch his head, just like hammered him and me like just seconds into that game. And there's just been a couple, like again, like you said, for the most part, it's been fine. But like the problem is when they've decided to like insert themselves in the game, they do it in a massive way that is legitimately game altering, and they're like just a bunch of nothing burgers. Like I just don't get it. Like there's at least 1 or 2 of those every tournament where you're like, are you fucking serious? so the I like again these rules I just have never been able to get on board with their rules, but it is what it is. Sucks for Switzerland and good for Sweden for they go up 2-0, they blow the lead. You never know. Usually in those situations, I kind of feel like if you do blow that lead, the team is just like going, and then eventually they give up another. But
And
they bounced back and they responded. Yeah, they did. They came close a couple of times there too.
Couple late power plays for Latvia, and they actually got some shots on net.
Yeah, another kid did.
Sorry, not Latvia.
Another kid for people to kind of keep an eye out for as we get closer to the 24 or the NHL draft 2024. I forget how to say his first name. Like I can't remember. It's like Yamiro or whatever. But his last name is Rayberry. He plays junior in Sweden. He's a real talented kid. I think he'd be a real nice mid-round pick for somebody. He looked good in this tournament. Produced a couple points. Had the assist on the game or the game tying goal against Sweden. But yeah, they are always just a pain in the ass to play against, and like I know for a fact, like they usually are able to keep themselves in game, like just kind of stick around and usually poach goals. So it was looking like they had a chance to do that, but obviously Sweden gets the job done in OT there. But this Swedish team, this is what Hoppy and I were saying before the tournament started, like unbelievably well balanced the way they built this roster. Like every line is perfect.
Yeah,
their defense is unbelievable. Haviland's producing for them in net too. But like, let me just rifle through like their leading in stats. Lekaramaki, Vancouver.
Let's go.
7 points. Otto Stenberg, 7 points. Noah Ostlund, 7 points. Theo Lindstein, who has been for me the biggest surprise for Team Sweden this tournament. Like I was shocked he went in the first round last year to St. Louis. Great player. He's going to be like a decent number 4, like probably for 15 years in the NHL. You may never hear his name, but he's going to do his very reliable, incredible skater, great passer, but like just doesn't really have like for me, again, in terms of like a first round pick and last year's draft with how many forwards were there available for them to go. They had like 3 first round picks or whatever. I was shocked he went the first round. He's got 6 points. He's a fucking +8 again. And he's just been a stud for them. Him and Willander look fantastic. Felix Ungerstorm, everyone that listens to this knows, best player of all time, the greatest hockey player of all time. My guy, my absolute son in last year's draft. He's got 6 points. He's been unbelievable, like legitimately. Matthias Haviland back at 5 points. So like everyone is just producing. There's not one guy that they're leaning on more so than the other. Obviously, Lekaramaki and Olsen have just been doing the damn thing, and like,
you can't give Lekaramaki any space, dude. Like it's right off the stick there, and
But they're getting scoring from everybody. Like they don't have to lean on one guy individually. Even like Liam Ogren, his points aren't jumping off the page, obviously, but like he makes a ton of plays for them. He doesn't have to.
He's been awesome
for them.
He's awesome.
He's just kind of been like the perfect captain for them, where he's just like doing legitimately everything. And it like the one thing I gotta pull up his numbers again, but like one of the god damn it, I just had it up. Oh yeah. He's been like an absolute animal on the forecheck. Like everything. Like he's winning every fucking puck battle. He's defending well, obviously too, but again, like nothing like that. I think he's got 1, 2, or 3 assists or 3 points maybe. But he's made big plays for them. He almost scored against, I think it was Finland in OT. He had that like half break, but he's been great. But they're just getting production and getting solid plays from everywhere in that lineup, which is pretty much what anyone that was talking about before the tournament was saying. Is like they are such a well-balanced team. They've got like every area of the game. They've got someone that does it better than everybody else. So no surprise that they're here. Again, I picked them to win the tournament. We'll see what happens. Czechia has a habit of like upsetting people, and upsetting teams. And like, again, like we saw last year against Canada, they almost pulled that one off.
Yeah.
So
Yuri Kulich is a motherfucker, dude.
That's the thing too. They've got Kulich going, Edward Shala's going. Like they've got some studs. It sucks, dude. I still cannot fucking believe that Adam Yurasek got hurt and his season's done now. That's crazy. But they've just kind of chugged along here in this tournament. So we'll see what happens.
Dude, Mateo, you couldn't be more right, dude. Honestly. And they're built in such a good way too, where they just tire teams out, where like they're constantly attacking, they're constantly moving the puck. Like every line, like Z said, is so in sync that they tire teams out, just out skating them. And something that I didn't think that they were going to have coming into this tournament, playing in front of that home crowd, who the Swedish crowd is unbelievable, like chanting multiple times every single game. Like I feel like the crowd is giving them like a little bit of an edge too, and they're playing with a little bit of like I don't want to say a chip on their shoulder, but they're playing with some aggression. They're playing North American hockey out there. I love it. The ref could, call a few more on them, but the ref, I just feel like, has money on them to win after that fucking Swiss game. But let's move on to the Americans, man. USA. They're gonna win me some money, right? They're gonna win me some money when they get that gold wrapped around them, right?
Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I mean, like, Finland's coming on strong now. Obviously, like, they just decided to remember how to win games. Like,
oh yeah,
they got the party started with the upsets against Slovakia. That was insane. Like, I was just sitting there and like I thought Slovakia had it back in the bag, and then no. What a goal in OT, by the way. My God, that kid is a beast internationally. Every international tournament he shows up for Finland and scores big goals. But and real quick before we do the USA thing, just on Finland Slovakia game, dude, it's funny because like I think for any casual World Juniors watcher where like, I tune in every year, like coming into the tournament, if you said, Finland beat Slovakia in the quarterfinal, like, that makes sense. But like in this tournament, with how things have been going and how bad Finland had looked up until the Sweden game, I guess, but it was pretty shocking how they kind of just suffocated Slovakia. And that's what Finland's always done. That's how they always win games.
A hybrid style.
A bunch of fucking pricks. It's not the most entertaining at times, but they do have guys who can make plays. But for the most part, they're incredibly disciplined. They play like just shutdown hockey, and then they can poach goals. And for the 24 draft, Konsta Helenius decided to pick up his first point of the tournament at one hell of a time. He's just looked really good too. I thought for the most part, other than maybe like Hall Tooted, he had been their best forward. Just wasn't ending up on the score sheet. Then again, nobody on that fucking team was for the first couple of games, but he looked unbelievable against Slovakia as well. Obviously gets the assist on the game winner. No, not the game winner, the game tire. But if there is a team that is kind of built to upset the United States, it is Finland, because USA has been by far and away, like, it's not close. They have been the best team at producing off the rush, and Finland loves to shut down the rush. Like, they love to kill transition. Again, they're just a suffocating hockey team. And that's how they win games. So if there is one matchup that maybe USA isn't thrilled about in the semifinal here, would be Finland, just because that's how Finland has always played. And they've historically always played the US like that too, where they just shut them down, frustrate you, and poach goals. That being said, I do think the US has just gotten better and better each game. My guy, Zeev Williams, leaving the fucking tournament and plus mine's like a plus 10. Like, he's been a beast too. But Cutter Gauthier is getting hot. He's leading the tournament in scoring. He was my pick to lead the tournament in scoring. Fun fact, just gonna throw that out there.
He's literally setting up Brindley, I feel like, on.
Dude, and Brindley is a fucking stud. That was another phenomenal pick by Columbus. But it'll be. I don't know how. I was about to say it's gonna be a very interesting game. It'll be interesting for like the ultra hockey nerd. I could see it being just like a
2-1 game.
Yeah, I feel like if they're, again, like, this is the one matchup where you're like, probably not going to be a ton of scoring. But again, I think the US has just been coming on so strong. Brindley's playing legitimately insane. Gauthier is doing his thing. He's getting hot. So we'll see what happens. But
Augustine's a beauty as well. He looked good last year. He looks tremendous this year. Yep,
absolutely. The goaltending has stepped up when they've needed it to. That was another concern somewhat for them coming in. But I just like, obviously I'm going to pick the USA to win here, but again, if there's one team that can frustrate them and slow them down, especially off the rush, that's how you have to beat them, and that's what Finland likes to do. So we'll see what happens, but the one thing with US, like, they can't get frustrated if they get shut down. They have to stick to the process. They have to do they have to like overcome a little bit of adversity maybe, but we'll see. Because, like, again, if there's a team that's built to just frustrate the hell out of the United States in the semis, it is Finland. So
well, the US are so deep this year that, like, the ref could, if the top two lines, will say it, the top scoring lines get frustrated, like, they could roll the other two for a little bit, or just start rolling four. And Finland, I know, like, they're, like you said, they're disciplined, they're quote unquote deep because everyone's kind of locked into the same game plan, but that could be a good move against them. So I think, like, the coaching for the United States is going to be big here too, and just how these guys respond to, like, maybe being just completely shut down for the first period. But that's what makes Finland such a fun program. And it's not even like at the junior level, like at the men's level, and hell, even at the women's level. Like, you know, I've seen so many games, Finland, in women's hockey too, Finland, USA in the end there. They do play a stupidly disciplined game. And when they do have those extra talented players, like those NHL top tier prospects, like we were talking about, was it 2015 or 16 when they had Olli Levy on the back end? He was lighting it up at London. They had Laine, Aho, freaking everyone up front. And they just absolutely torched because they had that extra gear, where they don't have that this year. There's a few guys that have, like you said, lit the lamp quite a bit. But yeah, as long as the Americans don't get frustrated and don't, like I keep saying, shoot themselves in the foot, even if they overcome a tough first period, they should be able to take this one.
Yep. I do think they ultimately just have too much for Finland. Like, even if you're going to frustrate the hell, I mean, like you saw, I mean, they're on, again, these are two teams on very different levels, but like you saw, Norway frustrated the United States for a while until the floodgates just opened.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it is possible. Like, you can do it. And again, I do think if, like, Finland is kind of the best suited to do that, but, you know, we'll see. But ultimately, I do think I agree. Like, there's just too much star power for United States. Like, that would be quite the fucking upset if they pulled that off.
Dude, at that point, I'm smashing Finland because they're definitely going to be the underdog again for the finals, and I am smashing that in the betting books. Let's quickly get through some of these comments, then we'll turn the page over to the NHL. Flyer Voracek. Ugrin models his game after Landeskog. I haven't had a chance to watch, but I imagine you can see it. Yeah, we've watched pretty much every single game here. Z, does he look like a Landeskog out there, though?
I mean, I can see it. Like, he works his fucking bag off. I think he's a little bit more of, I mean, I guess last year or so, he's kind of developed into a more well-rounded offensive game outside of just being a sniper. But I think he does have a little bit more of, like, the goal-scoring, like, sniper profile than a Landeskog does. I would love it if he would do that, because Landeskog was that, by the way, it's brutal seeing how he's, like, these injuries are just completely derailing him. Right? But, like, when he was at his peak, like, he was one of the best two-way forwards in the game. I will say, like, in terms of just, like, work ethic off the ice and, like, hitting the jib, like, that is very much, I know that is, like, his favorite player. So, yeah, I mean, I think you see it in flashes, but I would probably put more of, like, a sniper goal-scoring profile towards Ogren. But again, if he turned into Gabriel Landeskog, I think everyone would be quite excited in Minnesota.
Oh yes. Finland's model is piss and vinegar. I like it because they play a hybrid style too, just like their ice, and just like Liga. Like, it's a league that's not as high ceiling as, like, the KHL, but has disciplined, good systems, kind of like the SHL. So it's very much like a mix, and they got fucking massive Viking humans who throw the body around, like, in North America. What's up? Don't be horrible. Yes, I know, dude. This year wasn't our year, though. We were spoiled last year, tearing through the tournament. Hopefully, Hockey Canada addresses the coaching and just how the roster was developed, man. Sean saying they need more Strambles.
Yeah, that's right, baby.
dual citizen. But yes, I get my US passport hopefully soon, any day in the mail. What's up, CCTV 420? Can't wait for the UFC to start back up. Yeah, I'm excited. Hope everyone's having a great night tonight. Thank you so much for stopping by, man. I appreciate you. Okay, so what about Toffoli for an Ugrin comparison?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the sniping, yeah, for sure. Yeah, don't hate that. Don't hate that one. Again, I think Ugrin is developing more of the well-rounded, but there is a lot of Tyler Toffoli and Liam Ogren's game for sure. Especially just with the goal scoring ability, because like the thing with Ogren too is he scores in a variety of ways, just like Toffoli does. So yeah, not a bad comp.
Oh yeah, can we quickly touch on this? How fun has the PWHL been, Z? Like you had checking to women's hockey, and oh my god, it's still freaking hockey. Found like Minnesota's crushing Boston right now. Sorry
yeah,
that
they're kicking the shit out of them right now. Yeah.
Did you watch the New York Toronto game, or did you catch any of the highlights or anything? It was fun, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it is an interesting setup again. Like
it was rushed.
We had the Boston Pride here in Boston. They were kicking the fucking dog shit out of everybody, and it was awesome. I was having a great time. I was really enjoying that a lot. But hopefully this league's here to stay. It's here to grow. Eventually we can keep just expanding into more cities, because the product's been real good the first few games here. They had Patrice Bergeron dropping the puck.
Nice.
Today. He looks jacked. Like, I think he's just been hitting the weight room. Like, Zdeno Chara lost 20 pounds, so now he's down to like 375 pounds of twisted steel.
Well, he's been running marathons, right?
And shit.
Yeah.
He retired, and 12 minutes later, he was doing marathons. It's unbelievable.
He's such a beauty,
and it looks like Bergeron. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go hit the fucking bench press. He looks fucking yoked.
He's just probably like, now I can be on TRT and hit the bench press. Let's go, baby. His testosterone is probably more like through the roof right now, way more than when he was playing in the National Hockey League. All these former athletes who are like just absolute like weight room junkies and health freaks, like, dude, as soon as they're out of playing pros, man, they're just massive now. And I'm like, looks like that's helping you out there. Looks like it's helping you out there. But my cheeky tweet after I didn't watch the entire game, but I watched like the extended highlights, and I've definitely started to mark my calendar when the next few games are on, basically just to root against Toronto. But if only the CWHL added checking to their league as a rule, as a legal rule, versus put a team in China, maybe that league would still be around as well. And it was sad to see how like the American League and the Canadian League pretty much just butt heads that whole time, instead of just merging and being able to maybe solve the problem. And again, Canada putting a team in China was just the most outrageous freaking thing ever.
It was a move.
I interviewed a couple of girls who played on the team, Canadians, half Chinese, half Canadian. And it was a lot like Brandon Yip on Spit and Chicka. She was like, yeah, the owner was stupid rich. We get PJ'd out to China. Like it was nuts, but didn't make any sense for that league. Like they're richer than most freaking NHL teams. Yeah, it was nuts. I gotta find that interview. If I can find it, I'll send it to you, because it was interesting. But let's move on to the National Hockey League here and start with I know you'll love this one. Your boy Nick Cousins took a pretty big hit there from Jason Zucker.
You hate to see it. You just hate to see it. Poor Nick. Everyone knows how I feel about Nick Cousins. He's my favorite player in the NHL. How the fuck he doesn't have a hearing is beyond me. Like, I guess Zucker murdering him was the hearing and the sentencing, but like
George Peros logic
for you. Fine, like he's obviously fine, and it was fine. Like, Jason Zucker rightfully having a fucking hearing with player safety for that fucking hit, but was it Valimaki that was on his knees, like back to the play, and Cousins jumps in the air and runs him from behind like the fucking rat that he is, and doesn't get a game, doesn't get a hearing, nothing. it blows my fucking mind that Jason Zucker, the goon, the enforcer of the Arizona Coyotes, just comes over and it was crazy because how every single time there's one of those bad hits, Twitter is an absolute dumpster fire where it's just what a piece of shit, blah blah. I was crying laughing because all of Twitter was just fuck yeah, Jason Zucker, new player. I was like, oh my god, no one gave a fuck that Nick Cousins was laid out. It was insane. I could have I was just I can't find one negative Jason Zucker tweet. This is amazing.
Yeah, because they're barely
I'm only saying that because Cousins literally came back. He's fine. But it was unbelievable that 0 people were up in arms over Jason Zucker running him from behind, with the puck in a different zip code. But I didn't how does Nick Cousins keep getting away with this? It's whatever.
Dude, George Peros logic, it makes no sense. I have no idea. There is no criteria. I am 100% positive on that. It is, all right, boys, what do you want to do today? And I feel like they're passing around some whiskey while they're doing it. And 2 shots. And that sounds like a good one. Let's do that. Let's hit him with that. Or you know what, boys? I remember when we played, no one gave a shit about that. 2 more shots. All right, you're right. Fuck this. We won't give him anything. At this point, that seems more logical than whatever criteria that they're working off of, honestly. Anyways.
Yeah, it was. I don't get it. That hit on Valimaki was so fucking bad. It was essentially the same thing that Kadri did. I think it was Tommy Wingles the first time Kadri got suspended in the playoffs against Boston. I still can't believe he did that 3 fucking years in a row. It's unbelievable. He got his cup. Who gives a fuck now? But it was the same thing, and he got ejected for the rest of a playoff series. And Nick Cousins, who 2 weeks ago almost fucking murdered Eric Branson with the dirtiest. I thought that was the dirtiest hit. But then I remembered that fucking Nick Cousins had another trick up his sleeve, and tried to fucking take Valimaki's head off when he was literally facing the board square on his knees. But
Valimaki, he's a big boy too. He's a big boy. And he's had some bad puck luck this year. His face already was almost taken off. He took a puck to the face earlier this year. We talked about that in one of our past podcast episodes, the Sota Pod. But yeah, and in a friggin' Dallas hospital, they refused to. Well, it's because they were understaffed. They refused to stitch him up, and he had to wait friggin' 10, 12 hours. And the NHLPA stepped in because they're no, we need him stitched up now. He's got internal bleeding going on, and so the fact he's back.
That was insane. At that point, you must be saying, why am I in the fucking NHL if I can't find someone to stitch me up? Because there's
the PA suing the hospital, eh? There's a current suit going there.
Crazy.
Because they told him to go back to his hotel room and come back in the morning, and they're he will die. He's he needs to be cleaned up now.
I mean, that had to have been. They must have picked the only hospital on planet Earth that was going to kill him that night. Any other hospital would have eventually stitched, but they're go home actually and come back later.
And again,
morning. That's fucking insane. What the hell is going on in Dallas? 9 p.m. 9 p.m. You can't stitch a guy up, dude. That's fucking crazy to me.
It was wild, but because it was a bad, obviously injury, puck to the face, and I think it was an 89 or 90 mile per hour, it was a fucking.
Dude, you can get if I get hit in the face with a 15 mile an hour pass, I am going down. You won't see me for weeks. I will be in a full body cast probably. And that guy just ate one right in the fucking face.
Yeah, I think his orbital bone was broken too.
That one off. Sleep it. Come back later if it still hurts. Here's an Advil.
It was a crazy story. I don't think we posted it as a YouTube clip, but if I can find it, I will, because I went into detail, and Hoppy was like, "What the fuck?"
What do you think? Imagine being the person that was we were gonna have to tell him to come back later. That's a decision that this fucking hospital's making. Tell him to come back again another time. It's just,
we need another 12 hours here.
Our stitch guy isn't here. And what the fuck? Go to another hospital. There must be another one like down the street, dude.
Well, at that point, like drive to Houston. Fuck it. Like
Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness. Moving on here. William Nylander, contract rumors are flying right now, and a player who I did not think was going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf come next season looks like he's going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf next season. Z, we won't spend too much time on this because I don't want to puke here live in front of our audience. Talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs tends to do that to me. But where do you think his contract will land as far as the AAV, and how is the Toronto Maple Leafs going to even make room for him? Who's going to go, or are there going to be multiple guys out the door?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how they get it done, but I've always been of the opinion that, like, I don't know how, and it doesn't seem like it should be possible, but I'm sure they figure out a way to fucking do it. I mean, at this point, he must be looking at them and saying, like, okay, I'm starting at 11. Oh,
yeah, 100%.
Thank you. Like, he is a fucking stud. And my favorite thing about William Nylander, listen, I am from Boston. I live here. I'm a rat. I'll probably never fucking leave. Just it's how I roll. I hate the Toronto Maple Leafs with a burning passion. I fucking love William Nylander. That dude lives in rockstar mode. If you think that guy is worried for 1 second about that contract, you're out of your fucking mind. That guy doesn't give a fuck because he knows he's getting paid by somebody, and it's going to probably end up being Toronto. Somehow, some way, they're going to have to make some moves and not bring back half their fucking roster. But I imagine they somehow get it done, and he's going to be looking at, like, what's Pasternak making? Because that's pretty much they're best friends too. What if, like, he's on the phone with Pasternak, just like, hey, what do you think I should do here? He's like, just do what I did here. Just like copy my contract and just like white out my name, put William Nylander, white out Boston Bruins, put Toronto Maple Leafs. It's going to be fascinating because they're going to have 70% of their cap tied up with like 4 guys. Like, it's going to be nuts. I have no idea how they do it.
This is not going to happen on the tail.
Strong suspicion that they get it done.
Tavares ain't moving. He's not going to move.
That's the thing. Like, it's crazy.
He's locked up. I can't
imagine that. It's crazy how it shifted to like fans looking for a way to like do the Marner one. I'm like, whew. It is crazy how far we've come. That guy was a Selke finalist last year. Year before that, he had like 100 fucking points. Like, it is the bind they legitimately did those contracts in the worst order possible.
Yeah.
And again, the one guy who outside of the year that he signed his fucking contract has been worth every penny times 10 is William Nylander. He's been the one guy who's just like, I am good all the fucking time. Like, I am nasty always.
So Fowensy, he's a season ticket holder in Toronto. So chime in, Fowen. Like, are you excited for this Nylander contract? Did it throw you off? And who, as a Maple Leafs fan, and if Hockey from Home is here as well, chime in. Like, who do you think makes the most sense? And realistically, to leave, honestly, because it's a tough one, and he's going to be paid a lot. And just one quick thing on Nylander. Did you see the clip of him? I think it was like, was it Open Ice who posted it? I'm like looking for it on the fly. When he went during the Swedish series, when he went on that talk show, yeah, dude. Oh my God, like
that guy doesn't go. He's just like. They just scored the OT winner. Like, it's just like, dude, he's the fucking man. How could anybody hate that guy? Like it's Leafs fans. They'll whatever.
He's trying to get Gibson. They can't do. If they want to keep Nylander, there's no way they're going to get freaking Gibson.
It'd be a bad decision too. That is risky. Take him out of Anaheim, but we'll see. But again, I imagine they get it done somehow, some way. Like, because usually they figure out a way. would have been something that Dubas probably would have ended up pulling off. I'm not saying he should still be the GM there or anything. I'm just saying that's like his
forte,
figuring that out. So we'll see.
They do have Lawrence Gilman still there, if I'm not mistaken, and he was Mike Gillis's cap guy. And what was awesome, before he got hired by the Maple Leafs, I think 2 years ago, he just, without spilling all the legal beans, had a regular 1 hour segment on Vancouver radio where he just told as much as he could, again legally,
I love that
everything.
Shit.
Dude, that went, because Vancouver were the ones who like made like the no move clause thing. You know, they forced the NHL to have the cap recapture penalty, right? Like that was all Mike Gillis and Lawrence Gilman just trying to bend the rules as much as they could. And he's been helping in Toronto doing the numbers there with Dubas. So I imagine he's going to be a lot more hands-on now that Dubas is gone. So that is his forte. We'll see if he can handle it.
Speaking of that, and like the Vancouver rated thing, you know what? Fucking realistically, I guess it's just like the new way communications works. But my favorite NHL GM of all time, any fan of a team where he was a GM probably hates his guts. Brian Burke, when he used to do like the weekly radio in Vancouver, that was the best
dude
fucking radio.
With Dave Pratt. Dave Pratt, dude.
He'd give it right. He's like, yeah, well, fuck you, Dave. Like, he's the best. He would be chirping players.
Bro, I'm going to find that. I'm going to find that. Dude, so Dave Pratt, I actually know
radio of all time.
So Dave Pratt, he was a smart hockey guy, but his thing was, he was such a good sports like radio guy. Like he would have fit in perfectly in the United States, right? Like on ESPN radio or whatever. He just knew like, yeah, I can side with the team and I can do this, or I can stir shit up, get people to walk off air. He even walked off air one time. He was going at it with one guy and he just threw his fucking headset down because he was trying to make an argument that like sitting at a poker tournament for like whatever 20 hours is like, you know, is an athletic like challenge. And the guy was like, bullshit, man. And he's like, I played fish with the kids last night and I ain't in no wheelchair. Anyways, if I can find this clip on the fly, I will. It's legendary in Vancouver. They play it all the time, dude.
But I just remember some of my favorite clips are like whatever YouTube channel people put together. Like there was one was like best quotes from Brian Burke, where he is like, he's phenomenal on radio, or if he's doing a quick hit, because that was a lot of the ways they would like get like talked basically through TV2 agents too. So it was like all that, like with again, I would imagine it didn't go over very well with people in Vancouver, but like the Bure situation, he was just like, I don't give a fuck. He can sit down only fucking once. He's like, yeah, I will play him. I don't give a fuck.
Brian Burke was beloved.
I love that guy,
and he's
now he's running the show. Run the show. The P-Dub.
Dude, I'm so pumped for him. I loved even in his last hoorah. His last hoorah with the Calgary Flames. You know, I'll pack this shit up and move to Quebec tomorrow. They got a rink. And then the one guy's like, what, you don't know how to tie a tie though, Berkey? And you just gave him the death stare, man. And then the next day, tying the tie right in front of him. Is that good enough for you? Oh my God.
I fucking love that guy. Phenomenal book, by the way. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Now he's running the show. He's a beauty.
Speaking of Vancouver Canucks, I know we're almost at our time here, and we will touch on a little Wild stuff. I covered pretty much everything as far as Winnipeg on the Sota Pod, so we could touch on Calgary and Ryan Hartman before we close things out. But just since we're on the Vancouver topic, anyways, Elias Pettersson, where does his deal start? Is it pretty much the same as Nylander? Is that the comparable if and when Elias Pettersson asks for his big extension?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be asking for like top 10 money in the league because that kid is fucking unbelievable. Both sides of the puck. Like, he is one of the best players on the planet. He's so fun to watch. I don't understand how he looks like he weighs 120 pounds soaking wet, but I mean, he rips 100 mile an hour clap bombs, dude. Like, he just fucking hammers pucks.
Well, he's been
so
hammering
good,
pucks when he was a twig in the SHL. Like that's why they brought him on as a 17-year-old. Because they're like, you have this crazy fucking shot, even though like your arm is the size of the stick. Now he's like, apparently he hit like 208. Like he's been lifting.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like he's just tight, but he blows guys up too. Like he crushes guys. He's the man. He's one of my favorite players, dude. I fucking love that kid. I mean, I'm imagining that he'd be like, I want 12, and Vancouver would be like, fuck, we should probably give him 12. At least he's not asking for 12 and a half.
Yeah. I mean, at least Jim Benning's gone, because Jim Benning would be like, he's asking for 12. Boys, let's give him 14. Let's give him 14.
Fuck.
Hey, Jim Benning wanted to help win you a cup, so you don't. I understand that you don't have any hate for him, but he did the opposite here in Vancouver. So
he did. I mean, the Bruins fucked up the Louis Eriksson thing by not trading him, but I mean, Jim Benning swept right in and handled that for everybody.
I was just gonna say, the Boston Bruins fucked up not handling Louis Eriksson right. I'm sorry.
They could have got a good return on him, and they just decided not to do it. But Jimmy B came in and was like, I'll take him. I'll give him all the fucking money. I'll go, dude. Fuck.
From the moment he scored on himself in his first game, I was just like, oh, we're fucked. And we were for so many years. My God. All right. Let's touch on the Minnesota Wild. Let's touch on their loss to the Flames. Let's start with the positive, though. How about their only goal? Jacob Markstrom had no chance on that perfect tic-tac-toe play, man.
I mean, the fact that they ended up winning too, if you're Markstrom, you're almost like fucking annoyed that one went in, because he made what would have been, I think there's been a couple paddle saves this year, but that save with the paddle on Patan, which shout out Patan for getting a point while he came up. That was nice. And I mean, at this point, he's probably up for a little bit. Like everybody is injured, I guess. But that save on Patan was legitimately out fucking rageous. And then Calgary just decided that they were going to block 100 fucking shots. Credit to Minnesota, dude. Like, legitimately, the entire team is hurt now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, bad injuries. Not like, I can play. Like, can't like put a boot on. Can't fucking skate. Russo just put out a tweet 5 minutes ago that is unbelievable. If you include the $14.7 million of dead space, the Minnesota Wild will be icing a team minus $50.9 million worth of players tomorrow night. Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Gustafsson, Brodin, Spurgeon, Foligno, and Lettieri per Puckpedia. They have
even Lettieri's out, for fuck's sakes. Like, god damn.
They only have 1.28 million of LTIR space left because everybody is hurt.
Dude.
50 sheets. And I mean, they pushed the first 14 minutes of that third period too. At one point, the shot attempts at both 5v5 and power play / penalty kill, whatever, it was like 26-2. It was an incredible push, but shout out Calgary. Both teams desperately needed any points they could get. But Calgary did the thing that they've been doing lately when they do win, which is just block every fucking shot. I think there's two guys who just, their bodies take more abuse than any other human being I've ever seen play in the NHL, Chris Tanev and Ryan Lindgren in New York. Lindgren's bleeding 60% of the time he's on the ice. Like, he always, like, he's just like, it's if he like has a shift where he doesn't end up like taking a stick, a shoulder, his own teammate stick, a puck, anything to the face, and starts bleeding, he just like, well, he'll do it himself. I swear to God, he's always bleeding. But like him and Chris Tanev, like,
I know, dude.
He has to lead the league in like getting obliterated by opposing forecheckers or blocking shots with every part of my body.
So you want to know, like, straight up, one of the reasons why Vancouver never extended him more than like 3 years here, 2 years is because of that. They're like, we probably
like,
should.
We'd like to give you a couple more years here, but like, we don't even know if you'll be alive by the end of this contract.
So, when I was doing radio and covering like the Canucks quite a bit, I interviewed this guy who makes a it's almost like a tape, but it's I forget the mix of materials, but it's actually like a very thin metal that he's worked out the science to take 80% of impact from pucks. And the Tanevs were his test dummies because it's a Winnipeg company, that's where they're from. And he said that they were the first two guys to apply them to basically anything, obviously not being like any of the plastic guard. But he started with the skates because Tanev's always blocking with that ankle. And as soon as he both of them went on an injury-free run upon putting on that like shield tape, I think like the whole Jets started using it, and then I think there's like 15 teams now who have guys who use it. So again, I'll actually include it in the description. I forget it off the top of my head, but I'll go back and check out the company, and I'll put it in the description of the podcast because it's super interesting. And he was just joking. He was like, I had to find 2 NHL players who'd like block everything. Local guys would have been, key Tanevs. And I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, yeah, man, it's absolutely insane. I am happy that he made some money with the Flames. I don't think he's ever going to go back to Vancouver, but always Vancouver fans. Can we get Tanev back? Oh, whenever there's trade rumors, is Tanev going to come back? No, he's not coming back. He's not coming back.
I mean, as long as he stays healthy, he is a phenomenal defenseman. So I think depending on how Calgary goes here, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of teams looking to pick up a solid depth defenseman. I mean, he can still bring it for 20 plus a night. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, again, Calgary ultimately deserved it. That game last night, again, they survived that push from Minnesota. And then I thought they actually ended up last couple minutes of that game. They really took it to Fleury made some ridiculous saves too. So, I mean, Minnesota's in just one hell of a tough spot with all these fucking bad injuries. Nothing short term. No one's day to day. Everyone's just I can't walk. I can't move anything.
Spurgeon back on LTI. Damon Hunt coming up. So I guess there's that positive. I mean, whenever there's a lot of injuries and the team has a lot of prospects, especially in the AHL, right? Who are buzzing in the AHL. At least we know, again, as Wild fans and those who cover the team, it's okay, at least we get a look at these guys. And I know that's not the scenario we want. That's not what we were wishing for. But again, glass half full over here. It's something. And we've wanted to get a look at Damon Hunt all season. I have anyways, over the likes of fucking John Merrill. So at least we're going to see him. And, how do you think he fares, though, being thrown into this fire?
Yeah, I mean, when he's come up and played, he looks like he can hang. So I mean, I think the big thing with him is going to be figuring out exactly the pairs. So we'll see. Again, when I haven't been able to, I'm usually watching every last few years anyways. I usually am tuning into essentially every Iowa game. I've probably caught maybe 10 or so live, gone back, and then usually we'll watch specific guy shifts, but I mean, he's been a beast when he's playing in the AHL too still. So I don't know. I think he looks like he fits in when he plays. So I think he'll be fine. It's not a case where you're just holding your breath, hoping every time he touches the puck that he's just making a simple pass or whatever. But I think he plays a relatively mature, sound game at this point. And I've been just it's oh boy, are you going to have to pair him with Bogosian, who's been fine. But yeah, I know. I think the thing's just going to be figuring out exactly how the pairs work out here. So we'll see what happens. Or you can do what Sean Cosgrove just said and tank for Celebrini.
You have to tank, but you also have to pray a little bit because the hockey gods are not kind to me.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the fucking Winnipeg Jets are never going to lose another hockey game. So
and they're still never going to get the first overall pick.
Yeah, no matter what. So we'll see. It's crazy. Before they fired Dino there and brought in Hines, I mean, they were losing every goddamn fucking hockey game. And it was at the point where Russo was I think actually the smart thing would be lose and get just a really high pick that can play soon. Because this is looking quite bad. I don't know. God, the thing with the Central is I just feel like You've got Dallas on another level. Colorado, they've been hit or miss, but usually when healthy, they're on another level.
Yeah,
but then
injuries
Winnipeg
been
this year
affecting
has
them.
just been like, we will be nasty this time and we will never lose a hockey game. So you're like, oh god damn it. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know how many points they're out now. But I mean, we're at the point now where they need every single win they can get, and the entire team is hurt. So, that's how things usually usually when it rains, it pours, and it's fucking pouring.
Yeah. And at this point, if you give some of your younger guys, more minutes and things like that, I mean, maybe they're still going to go for it. Obviously, every team's going to still go for it, but theoretically, maybe they continue to lose throughout this month and next. Then you kind of go, okay, we're going to give the guys some more minutes here and strategically tank without going full Buffalo. Neuver wins 3 games in a row and you ship his ass out of town because you're tanking for McDavid, right? They're not going to go like that, nor do I expect any team other than Buffalo that year, which was fucking hilarious to see that poor goalie finally go on a win streak and get shipped out of town. But this might just be one of those years where, it didn't go our way. Injuries more than anything. And it sucks when it's like one of Fleury's last seasons too, but it's just like, this is the cards they were dealt. If they can get a good pick out of it, if they can, see what they have in some of these young guys and have a better understanding of, okay, who are we going to move forward with? Who can we, flip for assets?
This could be and again, with the way the West is this year, like you look at the teams ahead of them for the wild card, and like I think there's one team that I confidently will tell you is a better hockey team when healthy, when the Wild are healthy. Like they, in theory, like just again with the way that it's working out this year, with Vancouver leading the fucking Pacific with a game in, it's crazy. But like if we look at the West, we look at the West with the wild card, like they're 4 points out right now, and like realistically, I think at full strength, the Oilers are better than them. Other than that, I don't really see any of the teams out like that are out and out better than the Wild. But that was a big double loss with Calgary there, so that hurts a whole lot. But we'll see. It may have to pull out our boy or my boy. And this will be the last thing we talk about, by the way. They may have to, reach out, break some contracts in the KHL to bring over our fucking boy Danila Yurov, because he is lighting it up, dude. Just a couple prospect things to close this out. He is unbelievable. Like back on the score sheet today of the power play, he's ripping pucks again, making plays. He plays center, he's playing wing. Like he's just producing every goddamn game. Even when he's not in the score sheet, he's a big factor defensively. So maybe they're gonna have to break that KHL contract, which means like whatever they're saving with LTIR, you just have to pay that off to the KHL and bring over Yurov a little early, and then all of a sudden, you never lose again because he's on fire.
Dude, and it's like at this point, it's actually like it's not a high percentage possibility, but like it's an option. Saying it's an option is a better word than a possibility. It's an option. It's an option.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Before we close out, I just need your thoughts on the whole Ryan Hartman situation, because not only has it caused a Twitter storm, obviously the Winnipeg Jets fans are livid. There's even some Minnesota fans who are like, yeah, maybe Hartman took it a step too far. Just with the whole situation, with the actual act and with him being transparent to Morrissey. And then I've been following the Winnipeg media, man, and they have been it's been, I don't want to say unprofessional, but they are not happy with our boy Ryan Hartman. Obviously, I don't think you should intentionally stick anybody in the face, but I value transparency, and I think the whole situation is fucking hilarious. And I'm backing Hartman. I'm backing Hartman. I think we should have more transparency in this game. You're fucking right. Yeah, you should just end this. Just end this now.
I don't like. It's just weird how up it like. Did he do something to Morrissey too?
Oh, sorry.
Perfetti, right?
Perfetti, yeah, sorry. Morrissey came out and talked about it. That
was the one thing. I mean, yeah, Perfetti's fine. Is he not?
Yep.
Yeah, he came back eventually and played. Like, he's fine. If anyone thinks it doesn't happen constantly, like you're out of your fucking mind. Yeah, should have done it? No. Obviously not. But I don't know. Like it's weird that is. See, that's the thing. Usually, it used to be how like Wild fandom / like Minnesota Twitter used to be back when it was just like the old days of like Parise and fucking Suter. It was just like everyone, like the whole world, be like the Minnesota Wild are boring, and the Wild fans were like, yeah, I don't know, I guess so. Like, we have fun in the games, but like, yeah, we get it. Like, and Winnipeg Jets fans usually used to be like, yeah, our team fucking drives us nuts. We don't really give a fuck about it. Like, whatever. Like, we hate us just as much as everyone else does. And then they get nasty, and now they're all just annoying as shit. So I don't know. I'm not surprised that the fan base is losing their fucking mind. But the point, like you said, the fact that it's gone on this long and like are now like I'm finding like the second that came out in the media, because I tweeted the clip of on the game eventual game winner against Winnipeg. Hartman took that penalty and they scored on the with the goalie pulled or whatever. Like that was a bad shift. Like just stopped moving his feet. Absolutely could have like won a puck race and whatever, negated the like stopped the play or whatever, just didn't do it. I had 10 people from Winnipeg quote tweet that 4 days later, like, ha, what a fucking loser. And I was like, oh Jesus Christ, here we go. Yeah, I mean it's a weird thing to like latch onto, but I mean I get it. It's like fucking, I don't know. Twitter's just God. Some people should be just limit it to how many times you can really like spout off at this point.
Yeah. I forget who it was, but someone said that he's a poor man's Tom Wilson, and that's why we love him, because he's on our team. And I was like, fucking right, he is, baby. Let's go. I'm gonna hurt you, kid. I'm gonna hurt you because you hurt our guy. All right. Whack.
Wasn't even him. Hartsey, wrong guy. Oh fuck. All right. Damn it. Hey, Middleton said it. Hartsey's a piece of shit out there. Great interview. I still love that one, but I mean, whatever. I mean, if you're up in arms about it, fine. Ride for your team. Like, I guess
it's media that threw me off.
Pretty weird. Yeah, it is weird when it's like the media turns into like when they like take Twitter. It's like this is our entire radio hit today for 4 hours.
100%.
It is crazy.
And yeah, Mike, other than when, and again, you're right, this was almost a decade ago when they had like that crazy defense when Buff was still there, Myers was still there, right? And like that was when they were relevant. We all thought they were going to win the cup.
18. Vegas beat them. Vegas kicked the fucking dog shit out of them in the conference final.
So, and Mike, you don't got much going on up there other than the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, which
that team is, I mean, if people can like stomach to watch another team play hockey when you don't like their fan base on Twitter, it's a very fun team. Yeah. Like the haul they got for Dubois, like real nice, but whatever.
Yeah. All right, Z. Well, we're gonna wrap this thing up here. Just want to get to a few comments that we missed here. Don't be horrible saying please root for Canada over USA when we play USA.
No,
all of the times though. Yes, absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
I will not do that.
Reminder that the PWHL games are going to be on YouTube, which is awesome. Now saying that's how they're going to grow this is put it in front of all of our faces. Let us all watch it for free. Like no one's on cable right now. Everyone's online. So make sure it's on those platforms. The Montreal Ottawa game yesterday was really good too. Actually, one of the biggest hitting games I've seen in a while. Yeah, I'm excited to watch more of that league, man. What else did I miss here? Shout out to RJ was in the chat as well, giving us the scores for tonight, the schedule for the rest of the week. Tegrity Farms dropped in as always, saying enjoy you fellas a ton. Thanks for the content here on this boring ass Wednesday night. We appreciate you, man.
Again, NHL scheduling unfucking believable. 2 games tonight. Sorry, continue. It's fucking mind blowing.
It's wild, and they have like every game on tomorrow. It's a
joke. Who gets paid to do this? I'll do it. You could probably pay me 30 grand less than whoever you're paying that guy. Whatever you're paying that guy, I mean. Oh,
this was a good one, Sean, but
for fuck's sake.
Unfortunately, Buffalo didn't reap the rewards of that. Even more sly like the Mafia. Nice nose you've got there. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to it. Andrew, great to see you. Saying what's up to Z as well.
Sorry, guy.
Yeah, the PWHL games have been legit. And yeah, Hockey from Home saying the Minnesota team beat Boston tonight. Let's
Boston made a come back at the end there, but Minnesota hung on.
That's it, man. That's it. That's all. Yeah. That's everything we have noted. So
we'll see about next week. Don't know. Is it gonna be you again?
Yeah. So for those who want an update on Hoppy's life, he made a post about it. He is now a father, so congratulations to Hoppy, man. That is the reason why he hasn't been here, and the reason why he's going to be taking a little time off. But yeah, I should be here next week unless things are going great, and you know he has the time to. So
the kid's been alive for 2 weeks. Get him back at the fucking work. Right? What is he doing? You know, what is that, like hard or whatever? My roommate has a dog, and I am. Same thing. Same thing.
So yeah, Hoppy might be back next week. If not, I'm gonna sit in as long as he needs, and I'll continue to be riding solo on the Sota Pod for likely all of January. But we got a bunch of guests lined up for the next few weeks here. But Z, whether it's me or not, we got to catch up regardless, even just to record something to wrap up the World Juniors when we have some time. But as always, man, thanks for letting me fill in. It's always a slice.
Yep. Next week we'll wrap up the World Juniors, and then I would hopefully we can do a full. We gotta start doing this show full prospect stuff. Well, I've like the beginning of this year, like there were a couple episodes where I think me and Hoppy may not have even talked about like the prospect pool. So getting back into that'll be good. So next week, wrap up the World Juniors. I've been doing a couple tracking projects on the side for myself for the World Juniors with a couple of 2024 guys, so we could do that. And then we'll do a full-on ass roundup of what's going on in the prospect pool. But yeah, thanks to anyone that tuned in. And, hopefully we're here next week on time and I'm not working anymore. And my brain turns on like earlier than 30 minutes in. So, hey, we'll see you then.
You did pretty good. Who for someone who couldn't even read the screen when you signed on, Z. So.
Dude, it was blurry. It was blurry as fuck. Still, it's a little bit, but that's all right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Peace.